Hi, friend. Jeremy Tank, and if that's me. And if you are watching this, that means that I'm your brand guy. I am the guy that you can call to talk about building your brand, working on your business, not feeling motivated today, not knowing what to do about a new logo or a new website or things you're working on. Today I actually want to talk a little bit about marketing, because there are tools that are being used against you in marketing and have been for years. And if you do not know about these tools, if you do not know about these tactics, if you do not know about these crazy, powerful things that are being used against you, how can you learn to use them against others? How can you learn to, convince people to talk with you about your own business and about the things that you do? What if somebody at work has something and you need it? What tools can you use to get it? You can ask, but if they say no, what does that leave you to do, right? So, what I want to talk about today is the book called, I'm working with a couple of hands here. I'm wearing a stand so that all of this is going to stop moving soon. I hope you guys will appreciate that. But what I'm talking about today, this marketing stuff, is actually coming from this book right here, Influence, by Cialdini. And he cites a whole bunch of studies. The book is a great read. I highly recommend it if you're getting into marketing, if you want to market your business, if you want to be able to understand how to influence and change minds. This is a great place to start, because this is the tactics that are being used today pretty much everywhere across the web and in apps that are getting people lined up in rows for successful businesses. And honestly, they cite lots of examples in the book that are not even online businesses. Things like the toy that became the hot toy over Christmas. You know, I'm sure you grew up and there was a toy at least one year that was the hot thing to get, and you absolutely had to have it, and every store was sold out of it. And what happens? Supply and demand says that because the supply is so high and because demand is so high and supply is so low, that price goes up. Well, what if I told you that that is part of the tools of influence, that those businesses are making the supplies slightly shorter so that they can release the toy after the holidays and still sell a ton of it while selling other toys, right? These are just the tactics that businesses have used on us as consumers for years. And this book, Influence, it walks through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. 6 of them that are really influential, and the 7th one is what makes everything work. It ties everything together. So I'm here today so you don't actually have to read the book. I'm going to give you the 7 things. I still recommend that you might watch it at some point, read it at some point, simply because I think it's a great book. It cites a ton of case studies where these things are used in real life, from everything from businesses to cults. These are really influential things. So the first one I want to share with you guys is reciprocity. So reciprocity, you might remember from your math days, a reciprocal is the inverse of whatever it is that you've been given. So like 4, the reciprocal will be 4. 4 is 4 over 1, so 1 over 4, 1/4. So it's that kind of idea. Reciprocity means that if you give me something, I give you something. And this is used against people all the time online. Every time you sign over or hand over your email address for a free book, for a free video, for a free webinar, for a free anything, businesses are using the tool of reciprocity online so that they get your email address, and then they can start emailing you more things. And the way that they get your email address is they promise you something for free for that email address. It's not really free. Your privacy and your data belong to you. You hand over your email address in exchange for that free thing. So you've paid for it through your attention span. And it's this whole idea of reciprocity, that there are tons of ways online that you, as a business owner, can give away something for free, something that doesn't mean much to you, something that is, it holds a little bit of value. It holds something interesting. Maybe it's data, maybe it's, I'm thinking of coaches, some of the NLP coaches or the life coaches. A free meditation. Sign up for my mailing list, get a free meditation. Because people do not generally want to sign up for a mailing list without knowing exactly what's on it, exactly how many messages they're going to get. And a lot of times, if you're just starting out, you don't know that information. But if you can provide a little something like a meditation, like a checklist, a guide, something, a worksheet, something that people can get, then they're willing to give their email address for that free thing, because that free thing will help them. And that's the key, is it's got to be something that actually is worthwhile, of value. If people don't see that item of value helping them move their life forward, helping them move from where they are now to the point that they want to be in their life, they're not gonna exchange the email for it. But this idea of reciprocity is really central to what civilization is built on. Like, if you go to your neighbor and you borrow a cow, or you take a cow, you are expected to leave something, right? Society is built on the idea that if you do something for somebody else, that somewhere around the bend you will get it paid back to you. This is a community social contract that we have with each other. The next one is commitment and consistency. And you could count those as two different things, but commitment and consistency have to do with the way that the brain sees us and the way that we see ourselves. We see ourselves as being very consistent, exceptionally straightforward, and impeccable with our word. Whether that's true in reality or not is debatable, and that really has to do with how true you are to your words and actions, and how true those are to the thoughts. But the thing here is that because our mind and our bodies believe that we are so consistent, if we get people to make a small commitment, just a tiny commitment, it makes it much easier for the body and the mind to say, okay, I have committed to that thing, and because I am consistent, I am actually going to shift my views. And again, this has to do with the reticular activating system and how the brain processes these things. The brain will shift its views to see itself more in line and more consistent with people who do the things that are you're making the small commitment to. In the book, Cialdini talks about people being asked to donate or volunteer 2 hours of their time at a homeless shelter or a hospital. And then after a couple of weeks of just donating a couple of hours, they're asked to donate more time, a full day, and more time, and maybe spending time out on the streets helping people. Every little step that you get people to commit to helps them commit to a larger thing. So if you're offering a program, if you're offering a service to somebody, that's the reason to offer something small and to build the relationship. It builds rapport, it builds influence with them, but it also is helping them reframe their own life in terms of the choices that they are making so that it feels more consistent to them. And that in turn allows them to make larger decisions further down the line, because the small commitments lead to big commitments. The next one, social proof. Everywhere online right now we've got social proof, but to kind of identify what this means and how it can help you, this is testimonials. Pure and simple, testimonials. People say put testimonials on your website, share video testimonials. They're super important. Why? Because people need social proof. People who see this social proof, for example, Yelp is basically built on social proof. People going in, rating the places, saying what's good, saying what's not good, sharing all this information, and it's out there. This is an entire business platform built on the idea of social proof. Every little bit that is validated about you by the community makes you more valuable to those around you. So the more people that are noticing you, recognizing you, it actually makes you appear more valuable to others. And when people read like reviews, I believe the statistic put out by Yelp just recently was like 80% of people are more likely to choose a decision based on the reviews that they read. They may not even be like real person reviews, which that used to be the case. You had to be somebody actually live and saying it. Now we all see this stuff online, and it's just become common for us to go, oh, yep, somebody liked it. It's put it in the social sphere, and therefore it's worthy. So that's social proof. And you can use that. You can use all of these to your benefit. By all means, use them to your benefit, because they are being used against you every single day by all of marketing. I guarantee all of marketing in every field is using one or more of these tricks against you to get you to buy the things that they want you to buy. So use them in your life. Use them against other businesses back. The next one, liking. It kind of goes with social proof, right? You want to be liked because it adds internal value. A lot of our basic upbringing and social awareness and cognitive development is based around us not wanting to be ostracized from our family, from our community. We require community to help us grow. But at some point, we don't get parents giving us feedback. We don't get teachers giving us feedback. We don't get bosses don't really give feedback. Nobody trains you how to be an adult. And so there is a need, a deep need to be liked, to be wanted, to be embraced and appreciated. And liking is actually twofold. It's really just trying to get people to like you and show that they like you. That shows some social proof of your value, but it's also you going out and giving that back to other people. Reciprocity, remember? So if somebody appreciates you, you appreciate them right back. And this liking is it's this is the reason that social media has become such a quagmire of despondent voices and people always angry and upset because people like the things that are like them. Okay, they find the things that are more like them. They get feedback that represents the things that are like them. They like back that like the. See, all of this whole chain of liking is like an STD. It just goes on, and it kind of gets worse over time if it's not treated. The next one is authority. And authority, you can think of as somebody dressed in an officer's uniform that pulls you over. If you see the officer's uniform, if you see a cop car and it's pulling you over, you're going to behave differently. Things are going to change within you. You are going to be possibly scared for your life. You could just be cursing and angry that somebody pulled you over. But authority changes the way that people perceive what you are sharing and how you say it. You could be a judge, and you can be a judge and nobody gives you any respect until you put on the robe. With the robe, with the costume, your perceived authority increases, and then suddenly people give you a lot more respect, distance, influence over what you were doing. I just thought of, there's a character in the TV series How I Met Your Mother. And this guy when he's introduced, he's got 40, like big bottles of beer taped to each hand. He doesn't actually have his hands. He's beer hands. And then later on in the series, you find out that he's like a neurosurgeon or something. Without the authority, without the costume, without the context of who you are and your expertise coming across, your authority is low. But when you can show your authority, when you can explain your expertise, when you can share with people, educate them, wear the attire of whatever field you're in, you gain an amount of influence that is disproportionately higher than when you didn't have those clothes on. And people respect that, and the brain registers it differently. The last one is scarcity. So, of course, things that are more scarce are more in desire. Things that are plentiful don't seem to be as desirable. I mean, this is part of the whole reason for, like I said, that Christmas thing. The hot gift of the year is never on the shelf. There's always scarcity in that, and that actually drives further buying behavior down the line. And scarcity has a lot to do with Maslow's hierarchy, which is, determining if you're safe and secure, if you've got food, if you've got shelter, if you've got those sorts of things. Then your mind can go on to higher levels of cognition and self-exploration and getting things done for yourself. But if scarcity is part of your reality at the moment, it changes the way that your brain functions. Your prefrontal cortex actually turns off a bit. You become much more embedded in the fight or flight response. You have a hard time taking logical steps because you become driven by the body, by the physical release of endorphins. You just kind of get stuck in this whole thing. Scarcity drives fight or flight in a lot of ways. By the way, if you get stuck in fight or flight, one of the things I keep hearing is people have always told me, breathe, just breathe. You're having an anxiety attack. That's an excitation of the fight or flight response. You know, if you breathe, it may not stop you. Stand up straight and breathe. And then the latest one that I just heard to kind of move past this, if you're having one of these attacks, is to move your eyes left and right 8 or 10 times. Apparently, that is a trigger within the optical cortex and with everything that shifts. It basically slows down the fight or flight response. It gains stability back to the prefrontal cortex and kind of calms the vagus nerve, the part of the parasympathetic nervous system that is like a brake system for the sympathetic nervous system, which throws fight or flight into overdrive. Okay, that's an aside. So if you start in a fight or flight response, stand up, breathe slowly, fully, move your eyes back and forth 6 or 7 times. So that's a thing. Okay, so here's the thing. There's always a thing. The thing is that reciprocity, commitment and consistency, social proof, liking, authority, and scarcity have to have one more key in their function in order to actually make them function. And that key is what they call anchoring in influence. And anchoring, I've talked about the primary function of the brain is comparing and contrasting. That's what anchoring is. It's setting the perimeter of a frame. It's also called framing. It's setting the perimeter of a frame about what you're thinking about, what you're talking about, and what you're doing with it. The brain, in Buddhism, this was kind of considered judgment, right? And people are always like, I've got to stop being less judgy. I've got to be less judgmental. In Buddhism, the judgment is a foundational basis of desire, because you desire the things you don't have, or you desire something after your brain compares it with something else. It's very difficult for the brain to simply be content with the thing it has when it can have something else. So it uses framing, it uses judgment, comparing and contrast. Here we're going to call it anchoring. And anchoring is key to move anything forward in your life and using any of these tools. For example, reciprocity, if you change the anchor, the reciprocity should reflect the anchor that is given. If you're just giving an email on a website, then you expect to simply get something for free. But if you are handing over $200 or $300, the representation that you should be receiving for that value should be much greater. And that's anchoring. When we look at the amounts, when we look at the contrast and the comparison of what we're hearing, anchoring on a higher thing makes it like that the reciprocity involved in that should be larger. And that pretty much goes across the board with the commitment and consistency. If you commit to small, then you can commit to larger, and you can actually see that path to larger because you've already committed, and you can anchor on one direction and you can change how that feels. Social proof, again, anchor on large numbers. I've got like 10,000 testimonials. They're so awesome. I am so rad because I've got like 1,000 video testimonials, whatever. It's all about numbers for a lot of testimonials and for a lot of businesses. It doesn't have to be. It's about the quality, not the quantity. If you are just collecting quantity in any of these things, then your frame, your anchor is misplaced. You are registering the wrong key performance indicators, KPIs. You're counting the wrong things. You're counting chickens when you should have been counting pigs, plain and simple. So those are the 7 different things that we're going to talk about with influence and marketing today. Reciprocity, commitment and consistency, social proof, liking, authority, and scarcity. And all of these work because the brain's one of the brain's primary programs is to compare and contrast. It creates a story, a frame that goes with all of these things. And if you can start conversations by comparing the frames in any of these things with somebody who might be interested in them, with somebody who needs your services, you can actually... Influence is a better way to say this. I was going to say manipulate, but a lot of what we're trying to do is to serve. What I really want to help people with is not manipulating people, is not tricking people, is not using the same tools I see that essentially is what make all of ClickFunnels online work. What seems to make 99% of sales funnels online work. They're all these tricks. They are all these tricks stacked in an order and used against you so that when you start watching it, you don't logically make the decision, you are drawn into it because the brain does not make decisions based on logic. The brain makes decisions based on the emotions that it feels with the input that it gets. And all of these are tools to manipulate the emotions so that you buy something. That's how it's being used against you every single day. And if it's being used against you, that means you can take up the same tools, you can take up the same call, and you can use them respectably. You can use them as influence. You can use them as service to your clients. And that's what I implore, because that's what I believe. I believe that we can use the same tools. They're the tools that the brain uses. It's a little bit of NLP, neuralistic programming in this kind of stuff. It's a little bit of cognitive behavioral training. It's a little bit of really subtle hypnosis, honestly. And that's because that's just the way the brain works. We don't know like what actual reality is. All that we know is the perceptions of what the brain receives through all of this. The brain receives symbols, signals, waves, and it encodes a certain thing from it. And so I implore you, use these tools, use them wisely, read the book if you want to read a whole bunch of case studies. Otherwise, I'm happy to answer questions. If you want to leave a comment, leave a question about any of this stuff or about the book itself by Cialdini. And then if you are building a brand for yourself, if you're building your own business, if you have an idea and you want it branded, then I've got a program. It is 8 different sessions. Each one is about 60 minutes to 90 minutes. I call it Manifest Design because it goes through setting a vision, looking at customers, creating avatars, doing a unique sales proposition. USP is what I always call it. I had to remember the words for it. And at the end of the 6 sessions, the 7th session is a really deep diving, transformational, rapid transformation therapy hypnosis session. I will be guiding you as your facilitator to really get in and work through mental blocks, subconscious blocks to unleash your potential. Because frankly, when your conscious mind and your subconscious mind are aligned, there is nothing you cannot accomplish. So if you're interested in that for your business, for your life, for your idea, for whatever it is you're doing, I would love to talk with you about it, share a little bit more, learn what you want to actually get out of life. What do you want to experience? What do you want to gain? What do you want to do? It's your life. It's your decisions. But if you don't have a plan, if you don't make a plan, if you don't start working your plan, you will never get there. So this program, Manifest Design, is really about helping you plan your life, your business, your brand, so that it influences the world in the way that you want to influence it with your conscious mind and subconscious mind. If you're interested in this for yourself, for your business, for the brand that you're working on, just comment down below, Manifest Design, and I will reach out to you on Messenger. And if you have any questions or any kind of content that you'd like to see from me, write it down below, because I'm looking for ideas to share with you guys. I got a ton of branding content. I can always talk to you about graphic design. I can always talk to you about, what makes a good logo, what makes good videos, what makes good content, how to get people into your sales funnels, how to talk to people in a nice way. I've helped I've helped a ton of people through this stuff and working with this stuff and giving ideas, and they've taken off. And I'm just kind of starting up on the social thing because of COVID on the video stuff myself. And I recognize its challenge. I recognize it's not easy. And so, you definitely have an empathetic ear here, a sympathetic ear to walk through and understand how to make changes, how to influence your life from the inside out, to make it the way you want it. So that's all I got for today. I hope you have a fantastic day. I really appreciate you staying till the very end, and take care. Bye.